Happy cooking with Yvonne Douglas. We're gonna make some Mexican crinkle cookies, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about what we'll need for our delicious Mexican crinkle cookies. First, you're gonna need 4 eggs. You're gonna need 4 semi-sweet chocolate squares. These are baking squares. A 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. A 1/2 cup of pecan chips. You'll need some powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 cups of flour, and 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. And that is it. So let's get busy baking. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get your 4 chocolate squares and your 1/4 cup of butter, and we're going to put them in a 1 quart size saucepan. We want to melt that chocolate and that butter together. Now what I do is I put that 1/4 of butter in the saucepan first, and I start melting that before I add my chocolate, just so that there's some liquid at the base. You want to melt most of that butter first. I have it on a low flame, by the way. You don't want to put it on a high flame because you can burn it, of course. So put it on a low flame. I'm going to start adding my chocolate. And after this is melted, we're going to cool it before we add it to our dry ingredients. And lower that even a little bit more now. I want to make sure it's all melted. See that? Chocolate, yum. Okay, so we're back. And now in my mixer bowl here, I'm going to add my 1 cup of flour. 1 cup. Now, don't forget you're going to be using 2 cups, but we're going to put 1 cup in there first. I'm going to add my eggs. Now, what I like to do in a separate bowl, I like to crack my eggs in a separate bowl first. So then this way, I got to check and make sure there's no shells that are in there. Perfect. And then I'm going to add my 4 eggs to the bowl. Okay. And then I'm going to add my 1.5 cups of sugar. And my 1/2 teaspoon of salt. My 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And my 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1, 2. Okay, I'm going to mix that first a little bit. Now I'm going to add my chocolate. Now I'm going to add the rest of my chocolate here. Make sure you get every bit of that yummy chocolate. Mix that in there. And scrape the bowl. It looks good. Now I'm going to add the rest of my flour and my chopped pecans. do a little bit more flour. And don't forget that was a half a cup of, these are toasted pecans, chips. These are actually chips. So I'm gonna add those chips to it. It's so good. Perfect. You know, let's scrape the sides a little bit. The consistency of the dough is really, really good. Do it one more time, a little bit. Okay, good. Don't want to overmix it. All right. Okay, so we're ready to make our crinkle cookies, and I have the cookie dough that has been in the refrigerator for approximately 2 hours. It's probably best if you had it in the fridge overnight, but 2 hours would suffice. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to make approximately 1-inch balls, and I'm using this little, kind of like an ice cream scoop. It's a really small one, and that just helps with the release a lot, so I highly recommend that. And what we're gonna do is gonna make our balls, and then we're going to dip them into confectioner's sugar, powdered sugar. And then we're gonna place them on these pans, and I have some Silpat, and I love using Silpat. You don't have to grease the pan or anything like that, so it's really easy. So I'm gonna get my ball here. Just gonna release, see how easy that was? And I'm gonna just kind of use my hands like that and roll it around. Just like that, and then place them on my Silpat, just like that. And then roll them around in here. Hopefully you can see that. And place them approximately 2 inches apart. So I'm going to continue making my crinkle cookies, so stay tuned. Okay, taste test time. They are done. I cannot wait to taste them. That's really good. You know what I like about it? It's a little chewy in the middle, almost like a brownie. And that slight hint of cinnamon with those pecan chips. Oh, so good. With milk. So good. Well, thank you for joining us on Happy Cooking with Yvonne Douglas today. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and like this video. And until next time, happy cooking. Bye-bye. Yum.